Hello, you're very welcome on this latest audio walk from open country with me, Tom. You join me on what is an absolutely beautiful day today. The sun's out, there's some dappled white clouds in the sky, and there's a gentle cooling breeze as well, which means it isn't too hot. So very much one of those days that I would say is perfect for a walk. On this audio walk today, we're going to be exploring the area around Burley-in-Wharfedale in West Yorkshire. We're about 2 miles from the town of Ilkley, on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales, and about 10 miles from the centre of Leeds. We're going to do a reasonably short looped walk today. We're going to head up through some rural farmland towards the edge of Burley Moor, before dropping back down towards the river wharf in the valley below. And if we get a chance, I might take you to a little nature reserve on our way back as well. So we've got plenty to pack in, so let's get our best foot forward and see what we can find. As we started to climb uphill, the breeze has really picked up. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I've put my shorts on, but it's a lot chillier than when I set off down in the valley. I'm just hunkering down underneath an ash tree to give me a bit of shelter, so hopefully there isn't too much distortion coming through in the background and you can still hear me reasonably clearly. It is a wonderful view from up here, especially on a day like today when the Wharf Valley is bathed in beautiful sunshine. I can see the river wharf disappearing up towards the horizon, and it's flanked on either side by not steep hills but reasonably tall hills. In one direction I can see the ridge of Otley Shevin, and on the other side there's Norrid Edge, both of which are those locations I have recorded audio walks from before, so it's interesting to look back at my footsteps from times gone by. If you want to listen to those, then check them out at opencountry.org.uk and you'll be able to find them there and listen back. You can just see the tops of the moorland on the other side of the valley as well. Wharfedale is one of those interesting valleys the further you get up, because you've got these lush, verdant farm fields, and then they suddenly end quite abruptly at a line, and then beyond there you can see the heather of the moorland, which in a few months' time will be coming out in those beautiful pinky purple flowers. Make a note to myself to return when they come out, because it'll be even more spectacular. Oh, sounds like a train's coming. Anyway, let's carry on up this hill. We've had a nice breather here underneath this beautiful little ash tree, and see what else we can find and see what else we can see as we venture on up towards the edge of the moor. As we walk through this field of sheep, we're nearly at the highest point of this walk today. As I look to my left, I can just see the rugged rocks of the top of Burley Moor, and on my right, again, Wharfedale stretching out towards the horizon in the distance. I've just walked through a series of beautiful meadows. This one has got sheep in, so it isn't as filled with flowers as the other ones have been, but the buttercups this year have been absolutely stunning, and as I've been walking through, it's just been a sea of yellow and the buzz of bees and insects enjoying the nectar of the buttercups on the way as well. Anyway, I better not stand too long in one place in this field, because I know that insects tend to like the flavour of my ankles, and I'm a bit of a target for horseflies just standing in one place. So we'll carry on along this ridge path before dropping down back towards the railway line and heading down towards the river wharf in the valley below. We've just walked along a lovely, peaceful, quiet, private road with some absolutely stunning houses on it with spectacular views over the valley below. And just before we do drop down back into the Wharf Valley, I just want to pause here and take in this panoramic view that I've got in front of me now. It really is spectacular. On the far left, I can see the rugged moorland surrounding the peak that is Beamsley Beacon, what I like to call as one of the guardians of the Dales. It's probably one of the first hills that you come to in the national park before you drop down towards Bolton Abbey and Burnsall and Grassington. As I come across from that rugged moorland, there seems to be more and more pockets of trees on the landscape beyond, all a deep, dark green under the cover of these billowing clouds above me. As I come directly in front of me now, just bathed in a pocket of sunlight, is Denton Hall, which is a grand stately home that people book for weddings and things like that. And then there's more dappled trees and that distinctive line of the moorland going across towards Blubberhouses Moor, and dotted farms in the fields and little houses before you get right over to the right-hand side, where I can just about see the top of the telecommunications tower on the top of Norrid Edge. It really is a stunning panoramic scene. I'm just going to soak it all up for a little bit longer before we head back down towards the railway line and eventually to the river wharf. As we make our way further down the valley along this twisting gravel rocky path, I've just come across a kestrel hovering above me. I've seen signs all the way along these fields saying ground nesting birds in residence. So maybe the kestrel has found one of those and sadly found its next victim. It hasn't swooped down yet, but just waiting for the moment. They're absolutely stunning birds, the kestrels, very sleek and streamlined creatures. Quite small in relation to their other bird of prey cousins. If you think of a red kite with its 2-metre wingspan, a kestrel is just a tiny fraction of that, but all the faster for it. At a distance they just look all brown, but when you get close up you can see all the intricate terracotta colours and whites and speckles on them. And as you look into their beady eyes you think, I wouldn't like to mess with you even though you're a lot smaller than I am. Imagine if you were a mouse or vole in the undergrowth and that was the last thing that you saw. Quite a frightening thought. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but just coming back down towards the railway line, and the verge of grass just next to the track is clicking with the sound of crickets. Always a distinctive summery sound as you're walking along countryside roads and pathways. The sound of the clicking is actually them rubbing their back legs together and making that sound, I suppose, a bit like us clicking our fingers. They do it at such a fast rate it almost sounds like one constant sound. They do it to communicate with one another. Fascinating creatures. Anyway, we'll leave them to have their little conference and chat, and we'll head underneath the railway line and down towards the river that I keep promising but keep getting sidetracked by all the wonderful wildlife around here. I do promise that we'll get there eventually. Here we are, we've made it to the banks of the River Wharfe, as promised. As you may be able to hear in the background, the river where we are at the moment is flanked by the busy A65 road that runs between Leeds and Ilkley and then eventually all the way up towards Kirkby Lonsdale and Kendal. It's amazing to look down at such a serene river next to a busy road. Of course, wildlife will set up home absolutely anywhere. It's just our perception of busyness that means that we're not so keen just standing next to a road with all the cars thundering past, but I've just seen a heron take off from the far bank of the river, and there are tiny little holes dotted in the sandbanks at the other side. Probably the home to sand martins. I haven't seen any flying in or out. Of course, kingfishers will also use holes like that in the banks of the river to make their home. There's a few larger holes as well, which are obviously made by the resident rabbits. Although we've got the busy road in the background, it really is a serene scene. There's a crow sitting on a fence post at the edge of the field on the opposite side of the river, just surveying the scene. And the blue sky is beautifully reflected in the water, which is running reasonably slowly, and therefore it's very still. And those reflections are absolutely beautiful. I'm sort of in two minds here. I love being on the side of the river, but at the same time I'm not so keen on being next to this busy road, so maybe we should move away and see what else we can find as we hug the bottom of the valley through a few more rural fields. You can see a few cows over there in the field that we're just about to head into, and see what else we can encounter along the way. Just come across this beautiful little stream running down in between two meadows, one of which the cows were situated in, and the other one looks a bit more overgrown, so I don't think we'll come across any other farm creatures in that one. It is amazing that the trees around here provide that natural sound barrier. The road is still only a short distance away, but because we're underneath this little hazel tree that's hugging the bank of this stream, it's nicely shielding us from that sound. And now the sound of the running water and the birds in the trees is taking over, and you feel much more at one with nature once again. The landscape has changed once again. We've come out of those open fields with views across the Wharfe Valley, and we're now walking alongside this wooden fence stretching out into this avenue of trees. It's gone dark. It almost feels like you're in a natural tunnel. The sound of those birds is even more evident now, because not only are they next to us, they're above us as well. It's a lovely sight as this path just meanders through the woods to a vanishing point in the distance. It's certainly intriguing me to carry on along it and see what we can find at the other end. It sounded like a coot there. There is a little stream running alongside us here, and at the other side of the stream is a little pond in a nature reserve, and that is our little bonus addition to this audio walk today. So hopefully, as we do venture towards this vanishing point at the end of this lovely wooded track, we'll come across this hidden natural gem. Ah, here we are. Sun Lane Nature Reserve. Oh wow, just as we're entering through the gates of this little nature reserve, just met with a sea of purple flowers, fact, there's some yellow in there as well, which is buttercups. The purple, look like cranesbill flowers, which are beautiful purple flowers, all facing towards the sun. The bees seem to be really enjoying them. They're buzzing around all over the place. They are absolutely stunning little flowers. They've got these little black baubles in the middle, which the bees are collecting the pollen from. Although they're sort of a light lilac-y, bluey purple, they've got these very fine white veins going out towards the edges of the petals. 5 petals altogether. They really do glow in this sunshine. There's plenty of buds on these plants as well, which are a sort of reddish pink colour in contrast to that lovely purpley blue. It is absolutely spectacular. If this is what we're seeing just inside the gate, then let's hope that this place offers a lot more as we have a little wander round before we wrap up our walk, because we are virtually back to where we started now. We've gone full circle. But I think this nature reserve is well worth a little wander round. So I can see more little clover flowers and buttercups dotting the hillside in front of me as well. So let's go and have a look at, see what else we can find. I think I've found a bit of a breezy spot here, but it is lovely. I've just parked myself on a bench right at the top edge of the reserve. After reading one of the signs at the entrances, I've since learnt that this place is actually built upon an old landfill site. The little water treatment works down at the bottom as well. It's amazing to think that this was once a tip, but now it's just awash with greens and yellows and the colours, smells and sounds of nature. Again, this is quite a prominent position, as you may be able to hear with the breeze in the background. So I've got those wonderful views back of the Wharfe Valley. I can see the tops of the roofs of Burley-in-Wharfedale sitting just to the right of me. On a day like today, it's a wonderful spot for a picnic. I haven't brought my lunch with me today. I'm almost wishing I had have done, because I'm starting to feel a bit peckish. This would be the perfect spot for it. Just sitting on this bench, admiring this wonderful landscape surrounding us. There's a swallow swooping round there in front of me as well, catching the insects on the air. Another very streamlined bird, and even smaller than a kestrel that we were watching earlier on. I'm going to sit on this bench a little longer, I think. Take it all in. So we make our way down a little wooded path at the far edge of the reserve, down towards the ponds that we were looking over a little bit earlier on along that wooded avenue track. I've just seen a little vole dart from one side of the path to the other in front of me. It's not every day that you see something like that. It's wonderful to see. This place is obviously very rich with wildlife, as the sound of the birds in the trees can vouch for as well. It's been a lovely end to what has been a lovely walk. From the vast open vistas of the Wharfe Valley and the edge of the moor, to the wildlife in the fields along the way, to the banks of the river, and now to here at Sun Lane Nature Reserve. The reason I'm going a bit more slowly with my speech is that there's a few birds flitting on the path in front of me. I think it's a little family of great tits who've come to say hello. Or maybe they're here to say goodbye, because unfortunately we're going to have to wrap up this audio walk here as we're just meandering our way back towards where I started the walk from. I do hope you've enjoyed it once again. If you have, don't forget to check out opencountry.org.uk for more of these audio walks. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon and welcoming you out into this wonderful Yorkshire countryside once again. But until then, goodbye for now.